Hey guys, how's it going? So I told you it was coming, and gun control has officially been introduced in the Michigan Senate. I have a whole stack of bills here, and this is bad, really bad. We're looking at red flag laws that are a doozy, like terrible, safe storage, as well as universal background checks licensing scheme. I'm going to do a real quick overview of these, and then I'll be covering them individually more thoroughly later. The biggest thing you need to know right now is this. You need to contact your Michigan state senators right now, your Michigan representatives right now. Keep contacting them. Remind all your friends and family and everyone you know in Michigan to urge them to oppose these, because there is a majority in the Michigan House. The Michigan Senate and Governor Whitmer is the one demanding these, so she will certainly sign them all. This is a bad situation. It's urgent, and these will pass unless we can literally pull out a miracle. I'm not exaggerating at all. I was just in Lansing all day yesterday. I'm pretty sure I have an accurate temperature reading of what's going on there right now. Okay, I'm going to go real quick here. You guys sometimes like a real short video. I will be coming back and doing longer videos and even probably some live streams for all the Michigan people. We're looking at Senate Bill 83. This is a red flag law. They're calling it Extreme Risk Protection Order Act. It has several other companion bills with it where it changes different criminal penalties. But those don't really mean anything if this itself gets defeated. So we're looking at Extreme Risk Protection Act. It's literally called red flags. It's called take the guns first, then due process. We've seen different versions of these throughout the country. None of them are good, but this is up there with the very worst. Some of the quick details here. Again, there's a couple hundred pages of stuff, but here's the people that may file an action under this section. And if there's an action filed against you, they're going to have a hearing behind your back. If the preponderance of evidence, which is a much lower standard than beyond reasonable doubt, indicates to the judge that there may be a reason that you're a threat to yourself or others, they take the guns. Then you have to come back and appeal, and you have to prove beyond a preponderance of evidence that you are not a threat, and then you may get them back, and there's all these fines and penalties associated with if you violate, if you don't comply. But this is some of the shocking stuff. Any of the following may file an action under this section. These are the people that could red flag you. If this passes in Michigan, the spouse of the defendant, the former spouse of the defendant, just think about that, exes, yeah. An individual who has a child in common with the defendant. You would be the defendant, by the way, if somebody red flags you. An individual who has or has had a dating relationship with the defendant. So it's not just ex-husband or wife, it's ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, or ex-whatever. An individual who resides or has resided in the same household with the defendant. A family member. I'll get to that in 1 second. A law enforcement officer, a mental health professional. Now, here's the crazy part. When you look at definitions of what a family member is, it's more than you might think. It's a parent, a son or daughter, a sibling, a grandparent, a grandchild, an aunt or uncle. It doesn't say whether it could be great aunt or uncle. It just says aunt or uncle. A first cousin. Law enforcement agency means any of the following. A sheriff's department, the Department of State Police, a police department of a township, village, or incorporated city. It goes on, but basically everyone and their brother and your cousin and your ex and your whatever can red flag you. This is the worst form of gun control. Make sure you remind even all the Republicans that are in the House and Senate, this is not a compromise. This literally violates not only the Second Amendment, but due process and a bunch of other parts of the Bill of Rights. Insane. I'm going to say that one more time. Senate Bill 83. Red flag laws. Okay, licensing. I'm going to try to get through these quick because these papers fall over. Hundreds of pages here. This stuff literally just got submitted in the Senate a couple hours ago. So if you're familiar in Michigan, we have a pistol registry. And unless you buy it from an FFL, you have to get a purchase permit, a license, a pistol license from your local law enforcement agency. You go in there, they run a background check, you pay a fee, it's good for 30 days, and that's what's needed to buy a pistol generally from a regular person, okay? So you have to get the background check ahead of time. We have that for pistols in Michigan, with some exceptions. Now, they're going to extend that and change it from just pistol to all firearms. So this is your universal licensing and background checks. Reading quickly here, it does not apply if you buy it from an FFL, but then you have to fill out a 4473 form, which we found has been used as a registry and is being used as a registry as well. So you're going to see in here a whole bunch of times how they're just going to keep crossing out the word pistol, for example, and switch it to firearm. I'm trying to give you guys a 30,000 foot overview speed read. I'll leave links to these so you guys can read them yourself. But kind of look at how pistols are governed in Michigan. Many aspects of that where you can't just transfer them face to face in most circumstances. And now we're going to apply that to all firearms, which would include shotgun, rifle, even certain electromuscular devices and all kinds of stuff like that. So there you go. Licensing. The other one's what's called the so-called safe storage, and this is going to be concerning the storage or access of firearms to minors, people that are under the age of 18 years old. So it's going to start off here by basically talking about, there's a couple of main scenarios here. This, by the way, is Senate Bill 79, okay, 79. If an individual stores or leaves a firearm unattended on premises under that individual's control, so that'd be if you control and it's your premises, you have to either store the firearm in a lockbox or container, keep the firearm unloaded and lock the firearm with a locking device that is properly engaged to render the firearm inoperable by any individual other than the owner or an authorized user. Now, it also goes over the scenario that if you were to enter another person's premise by another individual, so you're going over to your friend's house and they have kids in the house, that would be a likely scenario here, in my opinion, okay? You're going to have to do one or more of the following. Either store the firearm in a locked box or container, keep the firearm unloaded and lock the firearm with a locking device that is properly engaged to render the firearm inoperable by any individual other than the owner of an authorized firearm, or before entering the premises, lock the firearm in the glove box in an individual's vehicle. Okay, here's the punishments. We're looking at a misdemeanor of 93 days. We're looking at a 5-year felony and a 15-year felony if you violate. An individual is guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by imprisonment for not more than 93 days, or a fine of not more than $500, or both if the individual violates subsection 1 or 2. That's those two scenarios I just read. By failing to store or leave a firearm in the required manner and a minor obtains the firearm. I don't know if that means that they have to physically be able to touch it, or if constructive possession would count. I don't know. There's lots of clarity that would be needed here, but you can see this is them trying to have your firearms locked up and make it safer for the criminal that breaks in your house in the middle of the night, obviously, because they'll have their firearm at the ready. Now, if that said minor gets a hold of the firearm, right, obtains the firearm and uses it to inflict any injury upon the minor or any other individual, and the individual knew or should have known that the minor was likely to use the firearm to injure the minor or other individual, the individual is guilty of a felony, punishable by imprisonment of not more than 5 years and a fine of not more than $5,000 or both. Now we're going to step it up even further. If an individual violates subsection 1 or 2 by failing to store or leave a firearm in the required manner, and as a result of the violation, a minor obtains the firearm, uses it to inflict death upon the minor or any other individual, and the individual knew or should have known that the minor was likely to use the firearm to injure the minor or another individual, the individual is guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment for not more than 15 years or a fine of not more than $7,500 or both. Now it talks about other exceptions where they obtain permission from the parent and you're teaching firearm safety, target practicing, ranching, farming, minors employment. I'm going to give these all their own videos because I'm already almost at 9 minutes. Now here's the little thing they're giving you, right? Give me a break. After these red flag laws, the universal licensing, registration scheme, this storage, all this craziness, they are going to exempt any safety devices from sales tax. So that's Senate Bill number 81. beginning 90 days after the effective date of the amendatory act that amended this section through December 31st, 2024. So they're going to give you a year and a half or so, right? Depending when this would pass. A sale of firearm safety device is exempt from sales tax under this act. And it goes on that these are like locks. Firearm safety devices means safes, lock boxes, trigger and barrel locks, and other items designed to enhance home firearm safety. Whatever. Shouldn't have to pay taxes on any of this stuff. It's all unconstitutional. But yeah, there we are. And this is what's been introduced in the Senate. Call, write, go visit, and convince all of these people, no. The state's literally going to be the next California, New York, Chicago, and those types of places. New Jersey, just pick. California, you know. If this stuff goes through. These red flag laws are terrible, terrible, terrible. Don't let anyone think that's a compromise. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.